And are we on? Yes, that looks like on to me. Let's see, how's audio balanced? Is that any good? Let me just give that a moment. All right, yes. See, the game can be muted just a little bit, just a wee bit. Yeah, that sounds a little better to me. All right. Okay, and there we go. And what does that do? Okay, what do I turn it on again? Kind of hard to test. But well, you know, it's still the first minute. People are still waiting to get in. Okay, yeah. So this seems nice. Like, it seems like people can still hear it, but nothing's going on. Hello, peoples. Yeah, that's just to see if the chat thing is working fine. Oh, right, and I should probably turn this off now, so so you don't get like duplicate sounds. Alright, so yes, you did not misread. This is indeed a mobile game, but I did a little something. And nothing to worry about after all. Anyway, you might wonder what the all classes thing would mean. Well, in this game you have a few playable characters, and each of them have a few classes. And in this stream I'll just try to go as far through the game as possible with each of those classes. So, first, for the first character, the first class, and then go for all the classes. So only one character. You get deselected, and I'll just see like how far things can get. Maybe I need to switch out some weapons for different effects, especially because some of the undead levels, or the amount of damage doesn't matter, you just need to knock all of them out. And as you can see, I don't have the premium classes because, first of all, they would already be expensive, and second of all, you can't even purchase them because of the game support cut. So yeah, we're just left with this, but should be no problem. 4 out of 6, still quite a lot. Let's see, you have 4, 4, 4, and another 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So well, the first section is gonna be pretty simple. Like, it's just it really only has standard enemies. Like, you only get special things later on. So it's just bonk. Pretty simple. And then you bonk again. And that's it. I could have gone for the overkill with the chili, but I thought, like, hey, that's a bit excessive now, isn't it? And then we get some items we definitely don't need, because I'm at the point where crafting weapons is kind of pointless. Most of these ingredients are as well. Then let me just do this one so I don't forget. Again, we kick out the other things, and we get advertisements. Yay. Who doesn't love advertisements? Alright, now what we want to do is... Let's go for an overkill, because why not? Because this is from a later part of the game. Oh, let me get to you, because that's money. But then you revisit some of the earlier areas in later parts of the game. But I just want to do per area rather than figure out the progression of the game story, because that's a whole hassle, you know. So I'm just gonna go per area, per level. Just keep it simple. And then we just wait for this thing to load. Ta-da! And the first part will really mostly be a lot of advertisements. Because there's a lot of loading screens. Because the first battles, like, really don't amount to anything. You know, it's just you can one-shot each enemy. Like there, bonk, and he's dead. He's gone. Done for. And I actually think that in canon they don't die, because you have a few of the recurring enemies, you know, like Prince Porky and Whispig and a few others. So you know, it's safe to assume that they're merely knocked out. Oh, and I think that's also a word used in the game to describe having dealt with enemies. Ooh, this one's fun because it's the first wave battle in the entirety of the game. Yeah. Bet you didn't know that. Well, I mean, maybe you did. Maybe you haven't even heard of the game. Maybe you have. But anyway, like, it's... Oh no. They're doing 4 damage. Now I am only at 9,600 health out of the 900... out of the 9,700. Or 9,600 out of 9,700. That would be a bit easier, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, I really love this soundtrack. Like, Henry Sirvalli did a wonderful job. Absolutely magnificent. Now, I actually have a bunch of the soundtrack in just my normal music listening playlist. Ooh, money! Let's go. Don't mind if I yes. Yeah, you see, like, some of these things are a little cut off, but that's because Samsung fucked up. And it's also related to the game support cut, but only because of the combination of the two do you have these little cut-offs. Which can be a little annoying when you want to see like how many coins you have, because then the numbers are like half obscured. But if you load it or something, or if you go to a different menu, or if you earn coins, then you know it suddenly pops down. Alright, no, but in that case, you know, it only pops down to like the normal level. But I think if you go to the menu and then you exit the menu, then move down a little further so you can actually see what's going on. And same for the dojo, where the prices are at the bottom. But I mean, since that's gold coins, then it's always a little bit excessive to do anything with anyway, especially since most of the ways of earning them have been completely cut, so that's also why I'm only at 100 gold. And I need to save up to like 250 or so for one of the blues classes, which is just very important for the final caves. Like without those, it's possible, but it's just such a pain. Yeah, I'm still stuck on Alpha Pig. Now like Cave 25 was difficult enough, but doable, and then you get Alpha Pig with the whole dual of honor thing, so you can't even actually fight them properly because you're not allowed to use any potions to heal, and then Chuck gets one shot because he doesn't have any health. Like Chuck is so weak, and then he gets one shot, and then one of your healers is gone because you have to have him as a healer, because otherwise you're already wiped, and then you know your healer is gone, and then everything else falls apart really quickly. doesn't really matter which one is gone. Like, it just all falls apart really quickly when anyone is gone in the Alpha Pig fight. Shit, even using the ally glitch doesn't make things a whole lot better. Like, it's just brutal. Anyway, let me tell you a little more about these pigs. Oh, so you have the stick pig. You've seen that one a lot. That it is the most basic unit in the entire game. You know, it has an attack and it can also stumble. And that's how it is. Then you've got the rogues. They're basically the same, but instead of stumbling, their no damage attack is when they just laugh at you. And then you knock them out because they're weak as hell. You know, even at higher levels. And then, well, let's just see what kind of enemies we get, hey? Because this one shows, for example, some of the rogues, but yes, see? So let me just deal with one of those. And let's see, yeah, see? That one just laughs at you. And you have the red one, does a little more damage and has the option to make everyone target the same bird. But like, there's only one bird here, so it's already targeted. And then you've got this dude, the insect catcher. You know, like, he actually does something. You might have seen it in the previous battle. He actually can stun you. So even if the damage is nothing, it would allow more powerful enemies to attack you. You know, at these levels, not really, because their overall scaling is very low, because it's the very first part of the game, you know. Ooh, kobolds. Wow, I wonder if that is what the plateaus are named after. Yes, it's kobold plateaus. Do not shorten that, or like abbreviate that to 2 letters, because then it becomes very unfortunate. And let's see, right here it's also, again, enemies we went over, they're very basic, don't really do anything. And the special thing is that the rogue can, the red rogue leader, oh, what are you called? Rogue leader can actually target a specific unit. And bird catcher, yes, actually has a 5% chance to stun you. Luckily, stunning is very rare. Right, there's a bird catcher, then there's some of the undead enemies, specifically the mummies, and then there's some brutes. I believe some have simply a percentage and some are just a guarantee, but most, if not all, of the brute enemies first need to charge up their attack. So it gives you a bit of time to deal with that before it gets very dire. Which, as you know, is very nice. Boom, boom. Alright, and then we get the knights. No, first you get an advertisement. And it's for one of the slop games. You know, Rovio really fell off. Like, they had 5 years of good runs, and like they didn't even wait until the end of the month on that 5th year to, you know, wait actually until the next year. No, even somewhere in 2014, at the end of 2014, they already released their first slop game, which really is a shame. You know, it's been downhill since then, because then they executed and, oh right, yes, the guard captain. You see, they have the ironclad thing. You know, here it doesn't really matter much, but when it's a little higher, then it actually halves the damage that you can do, which, as you might be able to figure, is a bit of an issue. Oh, and these ones are also pretty interesting because, as you see, they empty the rage chili a bit. Not that it matters, because it's not like we need the rage chili, and even then, yeah, like one attack on either me hitting or the pig hitting me. It's all you need to restore that 5%. So kind of useless. They only really impact you if you need that, like specifically at the moment, or if there are a lot of them, because then suddenly it actually has effect. Where was I? Oh, right, yes, Rovio fell off. Yes. Yes, indeed, Rovio did. Like here it's pretty simple. In fact, as a matter of fact, I think I can just enable autoplay and just have the game handle this, because all it is attacking enemies. You don't even need to really target or strategize. Alright, yes, in this challenge I also won't be using any potions or anything. Yes, I know I know it's a bit of a move, but yeah, should be fine. And we've been knocked out. Oh well, that just gives him more time to talk, doesn't it? Yes. So I was yes, right. So before 2015 even hit, like late December of 2014 already, Rovio released their first slot game. Somewhere in 2018, they just executed their games, their quality games that is, with minimal exception, and they didn't even have an actual excuse. Especially seeing as, I did the math, and just having minor tweaks made to the game, and then just having the games for download on their own website would cost less than a promille of their profits. Not their earnings, but their profits. Yeah. And less than a promille. So that is, you take those profits, you divide that little bit, because then the costs are already subtracted. You divide that little bit by 1,000, and then it's even less than that. Rovio is it truly hates quality. I don't know what happened. I think there was probably just a shift in leadership. Everyone that cared about quality of games at all left, and then you got modern Rovio. Well, fortunately it's still playable if you know how to figure things. In my case it was because I already had it on my Google Play account, but for a few others you actually have to get APKs, because Rovio just hates the players. Because again, it would cost them basically nothing to tweak the games a little bit so that the premium features are just accessible, and then just have the games for download on their official website. It wouldn't cost them anything basically. But no, because that's barely anything, that has to go to the CEO. Or some other nonsense like research and development. Oh wow, we're letting AI generate the rest of this game for now. Wow. Absolutely detestable, pathetic, terrible. But there's nothing you can really do about it. I guess there's the whole modding community, but that still doesn't change anything about how absolutely terrible and horrendous Rovio is in their whole of everything. Oh, it really is a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. Truly. Well and truly. Alright. Let's see, we've been progressing quite nicely. Now we're already at the first sort of like boss fight. Woo! Which was... right. That's a castle. And they are all 5... Yes, 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there are 3 types of wave that... No, 4 actually. You've got the 3 wave battles. They are really rare in the main overworld. But they're roughly half the battles in the Chronicle Caves. Then there's the 5 waves, that's all the castles and all the dungeons. For the purpose of this channel, challenger, ignore the dungeons because then you'd have to use coins to recharge them. Plus the dungeons are actually made to scale accordingly, so that would be nigh impossible already. So no, I'm just ignoring the dungeons. And again, roughly half of the Chronicle Caves. And then there's... Okay, so we've got 3 and 5. And then... Right. 100. No. 10. Yes. 10 waves. That's a special level. Very much toward the end of the game. At Hog Head Mountain. Well, I mean, end of the game if you're not counting the Chronicle Caves, of course, because it's not the Chronicle Caves just yet. You know, it's the section around the final castle. Castle number 6. I know the 5 eggs are stolen, but after you get to the... Nah, let's not get in detail, just in case you actually are somehow invested in this game's story. There we go. First wave done. I also really like the fact that the castles actually have very unique backgrounds for each level of the castle you have. Though this first castle still seems to be in not the greatest shape, you know, like there's leaks, there's a bunch of dust. It's minimally decorated. But yeah, that's just the way it is. Nothing to be done. What was that again? Right, Go-Go. From Waiting for Godot. Alright, you know, even in this level where it's sort of decorated, but the carpet is damaged and kind of sad. And this painting is just fallen over. Well, no, not fallen over, but you know, it's all wrong. And I don't really know what's going on with this sort of steward cap thing. And here, almost at the end, so it's a little better. But it still shows that this is like the weakest castle of them all. Oh right, speaking of castles, the 6th castle only has 2 waves actually. Right, so that gives us a 2 wave, then 3 waves, then 5 waves, then 10 waves, so that's 4 different types. Why did you shield? Are you... Okay, I might have to manually take control of this. Alright, and... see, this is sort of the opposite of the way knights work. And it's just... boom. Oh, no, don't tell me that you are gonna recharge. Nope, okay, cool, it's been dealt with, nice. And that's the dodge feature. One of the assassins also has that. One of the rogue leaders, that I think he's got a bit of a special trait. So I think it's the one in the city. But again, that's like end of the game, end of game. And then when it comes to enemies that just generally have it, it would be ninjas. And Ironclad scales with the enemy's level, so it's just if the enemy is a higher level, then the amount of damage you need to do before it gets halved is higher. Whereas if you have the ninjas, then there's only a certain amount of damage you can do, and then if you are of a higher level, you can do more damage. But for ninjas, it's better to either work with AoE damage. No, not AoE, DOT damage, yes. So status effects, because those are unaffected by the cap. No, it's only the direct hit that's influenced by the cap. Any other types of damage doesn't matter. Or to have a unit which does multiple attacks. You know, for example, Red has one where it does like a certain amount of damage, but he also has, hey, it does a third of that damage, but 3 times. Or, you know, like roughly, because of the different balances and things, different effects. You know, like it can change a little bit. But the general point is, you know, it's not necessarily that it does way more damage in general, but that it just doesn't get affected by the cap of the ninja enemies. Oh, except if you just level very much, but then you know you still do the damage. So it's like, yeah, you can't really do anything more than except maybe with status effects. But it also just depends on how leveled they are, what kind of status effect it is. So. Oh right, yes, that guy. You know, the guy with the funky little head and the feather. He's an enemy I haven't talked about yet, is he? Yes. Okay, so what he does is, and that's true for most of the Foreman themed enemies. And Foreman is one of the sort of boss pigs in the very original Angry Birds game. And that's, wow, that was a quick battle. And let's see, he has the incompetent minions perk, which means if any ally is knocked out, he gets 25% more damage to his damage stat. And then this one specifically just has a normal attack, and he can charge for 3 turns and then just make all other enemies attack. Which, as you might be able to figure, is just a slight issue. I mean, again, only at higher levels, or if there are a lot of enemies around. Here it really doesn't matter at all. Oh, hey, we're in a free wave, nice. Dunk. You're gone. You're done for. Alright, and this little dude. Yeah, that's the wizard. They don't have any sort of special effects, but generally they have one attack that takes 2 turns to charge, and then one ability that helps one or all of the pigs. And generally it's one or all. It's not the one and then one that does a few. It's like an ability that has one specific target, or an ability that attacks all. Though the way they deal damage can change a little bit. You know, some do damage to all. Some can do like single target damage, and some have a few target damage, like the lightning pig, I believe, does 3 targets. And one of Chuck's classes is actually based on that. Chuck is the yellow bird. Yeah, the triangle. He's the one right next to Red, and he's also basically a starter unit, because you get him after you do that cave. That's like after 3 or 4 levels. It's very, very early on. Dun dun dun. And then we wait for the points. Oh no, I just realized that the 10 wave battle. I mean, we are a long way off of the 10 wave battle, but that one, the amount of time it takes for the points to be counted is so long. Now this one is actually a little bit later because it's locked behind the gate, but again, I'm not doing it in story order or in when they are unlocked. I just do it as which area it is. So I don't have to suddenly jump back for another one. But still, you know, pretty low level. They're like what, level 10 or so. And max level is 100. Actually, is it? No, because I think the elite dungeons maybe have some. Anyway, the max level is no higher than 105. I might be confusing a few mechanics, where the cap is like slightly different, but it's not really that significant overall. You know, because it's only a slight shift. It's not that you suddenly get like a level 1000 enemy. Though that might be how it would feel to these characters. What level are you actually? Oh, 10. Yeah. Oh, that is so sad, really. Oh, you can't even do anything. And then you even fall over. Yeah, don't worry. This is so fun. And there's not really much more I can do other than just grind specific levels to get mastery, to get my characters more powerful, specifically Chuck, because he's the one that keeps getting gangbanged in one shot, so you know, that's a bit of a problem, because then you can't defeat the Alpha Pig, because then your entire team falls apart and you're all dead. And then you lose the battle. And then you have to go again. I think. Yes. Okay, so I had one good run. And I got him down 60% of his health. What I mean by that is he has 1 million health. And I got him to 400,000. Which took such a long time. And then it all fell apart. And it is such a hassle. You know, it's not even like much of a challenge at that point. It's just overpowered random bullshit go. And again, if it wasn't for the Duel of Honor thing, then yeah, it would be fine. You know, like you can restrict the Mighty Eagle, which is like you just do that and you just wipe instantly. Like I understand that one is blocked, you know, so you still actually have to fight, but you just completely block all the healing items. Because then you basically need to have 2 healer units, and then Red, which is pretty decent for damage, actually needs to constantly shield. So you don't really get much more out of that. It's just shield. Because you need to use the Samurai, which has a 50% shield. Because if you use the what's it called? Well, basically other units, they do weaker shields. And guess what? Anything short of the 50% shield is basically just thrown away. With how strong the enemies are, especially because Alpha Pig can just randomly summon an overpowered enemy. Or not even overpowered, but seeing as there's then 8 of them, that's suddenly a bit of an issue, you know? But hey, that's... Gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. I think there's like this new... Well, not new, but... not officially affiliated with the wiki server for Angry Birds Epic. So I might be able to find like the one sort of golden strategy that actually gives you any sort of chance. But I think the main thing is just, you know, leveling Chuck so he can so there is no case where he can go from full health to 0 health in one turn. Because without that, you can just fall apart any second, just like that. Just bam, and you're gone. Because after that, it's not even long. It's in a few turns, because then it maybe takes 2 or 3 turns if you're very lucky to take down another bird, and then just 1 turn for each or less. And it might just take out multiple at once. So like at that point, you're just doing it to see like how far you can get. You've already lost at that point, you know. Oh hey, new enemies. These ones are actually from the deaths. Oh wait. Did you see that? The power was a lot higher because the red gate, which is what these levels were locked behind, is pretty high. But let's see. I think first we want to deal with the big boy. Oh, we're fine. I know. It looks bad, but right. How long does shielding do? 55 for 2 turns. That might not be. Sorry, do none of you have a stumble option? Oh. How many? Oh, okay. See, I think this one might be a bit of an issue, because I don't have any stronger units, so no, I mean stronger weapons. Yeah, shut up, you. But that's fine. You can just take that one into account. You know, Knight, first one after the red gate. But after that, we should be fine, because then suddenly back to weak enemies again. Don't ask me what the logic behind that was. No, I'm not the game developer. I mean, I kind of was, you know, I did it for the high school project. Oh yeah, see, here's one of those buffs I talked about. And this one gives all of the pigs on screen a 50%. Wait, 1 turn? Ah, 2 turns. Huh. Oh right, first he buffs, then he charges. I see. Now hold on. Okay. Yes sir, I'm still thinking about that previous level, but yeah, let me first just deal with the rest of this section. Oh, we're stunned. Uh-oh. Okay, see, now this does get a little bit dicey, so I might have to take over manual control at some point. But I'm first gonna see if the auto mode can handle this. Like, you know, like this is some of the highest levels, so it makes sense that this one struggles a bit. Especially because this is, I think, the least leveled of my units. So that could explain oh. Right. Yeah, see, this looks a little bit troublesome. How much help do we have? Oh no. Yeah. Okay, we're done for. Yeah. No. Right. But I am pretty convinced I could do this manually. I think I can figure out the right prioritization. Alright, first let me just yeet. There, dealt with. I would really hope that you would go for charging first, but... Excuse me? Excuse me? Alright, seeing as he's stunned anyway and won't do any... Damn. Right? Oh no, right, he didn't do any damage just then, but we still need to eliminate him. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, this isn't optimal, but it could be worse. There we go. Pretty nice. Now here we just want to get rid of this wizard boy ASAP. Yes, that even means hitting the... Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Right. Well, let's see what this does. Okay, and I think next we just want to deal with the hunters because, you know, they... Oh. Yeah, right. That's a wrap. Yeah, well, you know, it happens. Let's see if this one's any better or worse, or... Wait, what? You just have nothing suddenly? Alright. I'm not complaining. You know, this can just be auto mode. It's like there. Killed in one hit. And then... I don't even think it was necessary. Oh, hi Kylab. So what I'm doing is I'm going through the entirety of the game, or at least the overworld at first, with each of the different classes. So first I'm doing red with the knight class, then I'm going to do the other classes, and then I'm going to move to the next character, first class of that. Yeah, and indeed they don't have any allies on the field. No, it's only the one character with a specific class. Now, for the first basic levels, that's not really an issue, but at some point it can be because of the undead, or just like with these previous two levels, where it's just pretty strong enemies. But so far, for the rest, it's been fine. But also we're in the starting region. So I do expect it to become tougher as time goes on. Yes. Oh, advertisements, let's go. The big wave battles, that really just depends on the enemies, but they are worse in that there are more enemies to deal with, so there is more time for you to get hurt. And especially if you don't have a healer unit who's playing, you will keep getting those hits from the pigs. And again, if they're pretty weak, it doesn't matter because they can barely tend your health. But if they're stronger, then you're suddenly knocked out. But nonetheless, it's still been pretty fun. And then whichever levels don't work with certain class, I can just note those down to maybe revisit them later when I've gotten more levels. Because let's see, see, the knight is only mastery 40, whereas my highest one for red is mastery 60 or 70, somewhere between that, 64 I think. You find that that the mastery really does affect the overall strength, especially if the basic toolkit, I guess I would say, or just abilities of a specific class. yes, you can see it as that. As which one is the undeniable best. Now, to be fair, I would say that for red, that is the samurai. It's just such a goat. But again, I'm doing the classes in order. Yeah, and the game wants you to grind, which wasn't as much of an issue back when there was the arena and the daily rewards actually gave something, and you could actually get a golden coin from the golden pig. But nowadays it's nigh impossible to really progress past a certain point without dedicating your entire life. Yeah, earlier on in the stream, I just had a whole rant about Rovio doing that and turning to complete slop. 5 years of good games, and then they just only made slop. They didn't even try anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but yeah. Nothing to be done. But despite Rovio's best efforts, the community is alive and well, which is very nice, I would say. Now, if you don't mind, I am going to get some water while this wave battle is running. Ah yes, why they wouldn't want to make their their most iconic games playable? Well, that is quite simple, and that is because those games cared about quality, and most importantly, they weren't focused on loot boxes, and they weren't focused on any sort of pay-to-win systems. You know, it was a one-time purchase for maybe a few extra features. You know, like in the first game, it was the Mighty Eagle, which unlocked a whole new mode of gameplay. But it was a one-time purchase. And now, these slop games, they try to get repeat purchases in, and with the least amount of quality as well, because that makes more money. You know, like the cost excuse is absolute nonsense. Well, maybe like maintaining the games as they were, that's one thing, but it would cost them basically nothing to just have an official download hosted on the site itself, and it also wouldn't really cost them anything to change a few things. Yeah, the new games, they're just simply out there and don't really have anything really going for them in terms of actual unique things they do. But you've just got all these children and just people that don't really care about their money, that then spend a bunch of money on it just to get like a special little hat, or in some cases just to be able to progress in the first place. You know, like Angry Birds 2, for example, has the life system, whereas in the classics you could just replay levels again and again, no problem. But yeah, it's a whole new direction Rovio took. But again, at least the community itself is alive, so despite Rovio's best efforts, the games are still accessible. I didn't really do much of modding, but I also know there's a whole community for that. When it comes to simply unlocking features, because if it's a paid feature and support is cut, then you know, then the purchase system also doesn't work. Yep, no one hates Rovio more than the fans of their classics. But yeah, it is what it is. And in fact, because Rovio basically forced people to make APKs to have the games accessible, it did open up the modding scene outside of just, you know, making sure the basic features are in. Because for Angry Birds Epic, for example, I know there's this whole mod with very unique enemies and different levels. It's just, of course, pretty cool. Oh, hello, kitty cat. Do you want attention? Yeah. 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 There's a cat here, and he wants attention. Yeah. He's especially loud when he wants me to grab him and pet him. And he also really likes exploring the desk, as you might have found out. Yes, don't you? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah. Hello, be careful with those wires. Yeah. Oh right, I should probably spin the wheel. Getting distracted. Hello. Yeah. Meow meow meow. Yeah, little meow meow meow. Yeah. Okay. Right, next level. Oh hey, and now we're out of the... Hello, yes, walk in front of my phone, I don't mind. Now we're out of the Cobalt Plateaus. So now we're on to the next section. Advertisements. Now sometimes I regret playing the vanilla version of this game because I'm pretty sure there's some mods to restore the basic features, you know, like calendar and arena, but also, you know, remove the advertisements. Especially because it seems pretty redundant. Like, they're advertising the other Rovio games, and you would figure that if someone is already a Rovio fan, they would be aware of the games, or at least, you know, not need more than one-time exposure to consider checking out what's going on with the other games. So it also just seems kind of pointless to have advertisements for your own games. Yeah, yeah, to be fair, at this point I wasn't really asking like for more content or quality. I'm just wondering about the logic behind putting advertisements for other Rovio games in the Rovio games. You know, like if it was a different franchise, you know, because Rovio does have a few different things, then I'd sort of get it. But from one Angry Birds game to the next, then, you know, it's someone who plays Angry Birds knows Angry Birds. You know, like maybe if they're only playing Classic, they wouldn't know. But if they're playing any of the sequels at all, then they clearly already know there's multiple Angry Birds games. Oh hey, and that's already this friendship gate is what they're called, I believe. Done, yeah. Dun dun dun. I have so many random resources stocked up because you can't even really use them for crafting. And for most of the potion things I just use the silver coins. But it's still funny that there's some sort of semblance of a reward. Oh hey, new enemy. Right, it's the air pirate. And they... Did I remember correctly? Yes. Because they're pirate units, they're immune to harmful effects. And these air pirates have one double attack and one buff. I'm not sure if it can buff any enemy or only itself, but oh, gambling, because the golden pig to get the special weapons, right? I already fed you. And no, you cannot go outside. But maybe some people, you know, they got their first rush from Angry Birds Epic. Yeah, but yeah, I don't mind too much because it's soft and fluffy and cute. So then it's kind of nice. Oh right, next level. What I do appreciate about the golden pig feature, you know, where you can spin for weapons, is that there's also a guarantee to get one of the special weapons. I don't know what they're called exactly. After like 50 spins, I believe. Just hello, could you not? Thank you. Right, let me just start that. The game can actually progress while I'm giving the cat attention. Right. Yes, set weapons, that's them. The ones with the rainbow stars. And that if you have 2 specific ones, then you can also get a bonus effect. Which is pretty neat. Even if I don't have any sets just yet. Yeah, maybe one day. It's been a while since I really checked out the game, you know, I've sort of left it for a few months. But I do still use the free spin and then also the video spin. So I still progress towards the guaranteed good weapon. Like even if it doesn't really tie to a nice bonus feature, it does still what does it still do? Oh right, they still have a higher base damage tied to them, which is pretty nice. And they also have a higher level cap. Yeah. And there we are, already on the final level of fields, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, then this is also the part of the game where you get the gold pig for the first time. Because they, I believe it's like weighing down the balloon and then they have to cut it loose. Oh hey, thank you for the follow. Nice. Welcome to the community. I appreciate it, thank you. Do the labels not update? Ah, sorry about that. I'll figure out what's up with that after the stream. Just other people in the house. But let's see. Oh right, there's the whole air pirate captain, which again it seems to have the 4-man, and I believe this one has the incompetent minions perk rather than the pirate perk. And then of course you have this one, which this level is when you have to collect the airplane parts. How many times are you gonna get the same advertisement of like a worst version of Angry Birds Space? Like they don't really, yeah, never quite a quiet moment. But yeah, Rovio doesn't really vary the advertisements as well. It's just very, I think like every game is like 2 or 3 advertisements and they just keep looping those. Oh right, and that was another unique enemy. Well, sometimes not even, or maybe only at the end. But sometimes the level isn't even beaten, it's just like someone playing in the worst possible way. And it's like, Rovio, nice try, but I already know this game is dog shit. So I'm not going to play it to prove the advertisement wrong or the other player wrong. Alright, and now we've done like the entirety of Cobalt Plateau and to connect the little landmass. So we're getting to the water levels. But first let me do this one so that's also dealt with and I don't forget it. Yes, because at some point the normal ship becomes an airship. Absolutely, it is gonna take long. But the very nice thing about it is I don't really have to think a whole lot. Which is pretty... Oh no. Oh no. 3 ghosts. That won't do. Let's re-roll the enemy. You know, this is something where I don't have to think a whole lot. Like, okay, no, it has a standard enemy loadout. Right. And I think there's a weapon which has like does an additional attack to a random enemy, and that's the only way we stand any hope of doing that. But yeah, for this challenge, it's also I can just stop at any point, and I can just do that when I don't have a whole lot of energy or brain power left because university. So let's check the loadout. Right, and then we would want this one, chain attack. Sure, why not? Nah, actually, because I know there's a glitch to use. Ah, yeah, thank you. It was pretty manageable because in the Netherlands it's just you have to be a certain level in high school, and then as long as you do sufficient in that, you can get to university. I mean, like specific studies have like numerous fixes, which is that only a specific amount of people are allowed in. But I have one where it's just if you complete high school at that level, and then you're already qualified to do this university study, which is pretty nice. Yes, thank you. Alright, so now with the chain attack, we should be able to deal with the ghosts. However, if there are more than 4, it would be impossible. Oh, at least if it's specifically ghosts, because they only have 2 turns to revive. Whereas the zombies, barring the one in the sunken pyramid dungeon, I believe. That one, like, it's a zombie enemy, you can clearly see. But it still has the revive pattern of ghosts, which is very weird. And doesn't even really seem to be a matter of balance, so it just seems like an odd choice. Like at that point, either give it the 3 turns or change the design to be a ghost, you know? And let me also do the Maelstrom before I forget that. And that's the submarine. Yes. And here it says like, oh, very powerful, but it doesn't really matter because it isn't really that powerful when you look at the health and the damage it does. So like when I unlocked it, yes, it was pretty powerful. But now it's not really doing much of anything. Alright, and I'll keep using the chain attack weapon because the sea levels tend to have a lot of undead enemies. And so does the desert, I believe. But yeah, we can manage. It's gonna be fine. And if it's not, then we just record the level, or like it's like note down. Okay, alright, this level, this class, and then retry later with different weapon, or maybe some higher leveling. Oh, and there, now we even get this, which means we can just kaboom. And now he's basically already done. Not just a few more hits. Oh yeah, those fish in the background, and then one of them is basically Chuck, which is like very weird. And I wonder if there's like more world building to that, or if it was just a silly little texture thingy. Yeah, well, it's a challenge on beating the level, not on getting all 3 stars. That's a separate thing, which I'm not gonna even attempt with like this whole classes thing. I'm just gonna attempt for the game in general, you know, getting 3 stars on each level at least once, and then, you know, that's good enough. Yeah, the game is like 1300, 1296, if I believe correctly. And we can skip the advertisement. Okay, to be fair, that was one that I hadn't seen before. Ooh, more pirates. Yeah, and these one debuff your damage, which is a little unfortunate, but yeah. Wait, actually I'm gonna do this manually so I can take out the normal enemies first before dealing with the ghost. Because, well, for very simple levels, the AI works just fine. If it requires even just the slightest bit of strategy or logical thinking, don't autoplay. It just isn't it. There, now we don't even need the chain attack thing because there's only 2 of them, so we can just knock one out, then the other. Bada bing, bada boom. We're golden. And this one, this big boy, has a feature where he can then counter attacks. And I believe this one also does it like 200%. Let's see. Hey, I remember correctly. This other one applies poison. The other one with the little pokey stick. And this one can go auto, it should be fine. Yes. Hey Caleb. Why do you have so many H's at the end of your name? I only like consciously noted that now, that stands out. Because I can see like Caleb Ware, but then 1 or 2. Yeah, that's fair enough. Sometimes I forgot why I made this username. No, I have the reason somewhere in like a video on my channel, but like if someone was to ask me right now, I simply wouldn't know. You see, my account wasn't in a daze, but I simply kind of forgot what the exact reasoning was. But I still know that there was actual thought behind it, and I took like traits from different usernames I saw from content creators. So I'm stretching. You know, might as well. Always good to, you know, ensure proper blood flow and that your muscles are all in order and all that. I'm not a biologist, but you know, I know the basics of health. Which is also why I stay hydrated. And also, like, water isn't even that bad of a drink. Well, especially hard water. I love hard water. You know, like give me all those minerals. Nim nim nim. But some people really dislike water, or specifically hard water, and then they like water that doesn't have anything in it. And it's like, at that point, you might as well just drink distilled water. It's basically the same thing. Exactly. You know, the water needs to have like an entire stalactite crushed into it. No, because that is nice taste. That is a good drinking experience. Well, no, it has to be properly dissolved. But there are some drinks with pulp I like, you know, like orange juice or apple juice, if it's like one of those more expensive ones. You know, especially because if it's only the juice and just purely the liquid, you're also missing out on a lot of the nutrients and vitamins. Whereas if you actually get that with it, it tends to be higher quality. Plus also it's the sort of thing that you know is proper for that, so also mentally it's not like water with pulp where it's just a weird thing. No, like water with pulp is like when you're chewing on something hard and then suddenly there's something soft. No, it's sort of like that in that regard. Well, you know, water with pulp, that just makes me believe there's something wrong with it. You know, like there's just a bunch of moss or dirt that's left behind. You know, but when it comes to water, as long as it's clean, you know, I'll drink it. Even if it's soft water. Without the gunk. Even if it's lukewarm, which is objectively the worst water temperature. You know, like if I need the hydration, I'll do it. But I prefer cold water or hot water. Cold water is just very refreshing, and hot water is nice when you feel like, for example, you've had a bunch of sugary stuff and you want to really clean that out, or if you've got like, right, if you've got a cold or something, then hot water is really nice. Not warm, especially not lukewarm, but actually hot. Yeah, but of course not scalding, because at that point it's gonna do damage and it's gonna hurt. You know, like hot enough to feel hot, but not to the point where it would actually be harmful. You know? I mean, lukewarm water first thing out of bed, that would suggest that the water is, you know, just you've had a glass of water like on your nightstand or something, and that being lukewarm would suggest that the room itself was pretty hot. And at that point, I think the higher issue is the fact that the room was that hot when you're trying to sleep, rather than the water being lukewarm. You know, this soundtrack is absolute cinema. No, not cinema though, because cinema is like visual. But you know what I mean. Like this soundtrack is popping. Oh hey, the stream label's updated. Very nice. Yes, air cinema. That makes enough sense. Oh, speaking of absolute cinema, for university I had to watch. I had to watch one of Hitchcock's films, Shadow of a Doubt, and it's shot pretty well, and it's actually got a pretty good story, but it just wasn't like intense. You know, there's something that you're used to as a modern audience, but apparently back in the day that was already pretty shocking and intense for audiences. And was like, yeah, well, it's got a few tense moments. Yeah, it didn't really feel like there was very little tension. There were a few moments, and there was a bit of the general trend, but the overall level felt pretty low. But I can still appreciate the quality and the symbolism, the things like the foreshadowing, and the way the shots are arranged can really tell a lot about the characters. So despite that, it was still pretty good watch. You know, and then there was something that did bore me, but that's because it was specifically written to be boring, and that is something from Samuel Beckett. And his whole thing is like, try to bore the audience, do something just they don't expect. And I watched what do you call that? You know, like being made into a film, even that was originally theater, I believe. Yes, a bad movie is better than a boring one. And this one was deliberately boring, and it's Waiting for Godot. And oh, it was a little unsettling, really. But not just because of the boringness, but because the characters are so absurd. But that's also, again, like a deliberate thing. So, you know, in that regard, I could say, like, hey, he did pretty good at achieving the goal of having the audience be uncomfortable. and despite its boringness, it did have some interesting layer to it. You know, when you try to analyze the characters themselves, how they are, and also what exactly is going on in the general story. Now, because it's not the normal kind of story that follows Freytag's pyramid with like a rising action and then falling action, and then that's it. Like, it's just it stays pretty much on the same level. And like, sure, it goes up and down a little, but not like there's any sort of climax. And then you have the next day, and key things of that day are the same. And there's this very heavy suggestion that before the events of the film, they have been waiting there for many days, and have had a lot of those interactions multiple times, and that after the film ends, they will keep having mostly the same day again and again, with very little variety, very little change. And it's like it's almost like they're not really waiting for anything in particular, but like it seems to be a sort of hell in and of itself where they are, because it's also a very barren landscape. You know, it doesn't feel like actual civilization or anything. You know, there's only one tree, and other than that, it's just entirely barren. No, you don't see any houses, you don't see any woods, no rivers, no mountains, no nothing. It's just flat and barren. So yeah, there's a lot of room for interpretation of why the characters are waiting, and if there's some sort of larger message to it. So despite it being absolutely boring to watch, like I just had the glass on my desk, and I was mostly just playing with that, barely looking at the screen, and there were a few minutes where I just looked at Discord. But despite all that, it's still interesting when you think about the story itself and the characters and the potential sort of symbolism, which could be just in the weighting itself, but also in view of the interactions, whether it's repeated interactions or different interactions, because there are a few different characters that walk past the main two characters waiting, which also have a bit of different interactions, because they don't seem to know those two characters, because those central two characters, they've known each other for years. So it's also a very different dynamic when strangers come by. Well, when you look at that, we've almost finished the sea. Well, I guess that sort of area around the island was called a lagoon, I believe. But same difference. Potato, potato, and whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here we go. Still a pretty short battle. I don't really know why this one was like underwater. Maybe like a secret chest or something. But yes, that means now we can get into the desert. And even if it's not the optimal weapon we have right now, it should still be fine, really, for these battles, because they're still pretty low level. I mean, there's the optional one on the side, which is a little higher level, but I still think it should be pretty much fine. There we go. We get rid of the knight, because that one has like a damage over time feature, which, as you can figure, is not exactly nice, because then you're poisoned. And it also has as a, it can put like thorns around one of the enemies, and then if you try to hit that one, it also does damage. Though I don't think at this level it really mattered, because, well, as you can see, I was still at almost all of my health. Now let's go and check out this optional level. They're 118 power, but I have just this slight feeling that this should deal with that. There. Just a single attack. Good soup. Good soup. The victory music, like even if it's very simple, is still pretty nice to listen to. Oh, okay. Right. I think first things first, we want to get rid of the stunners. Well, and we, by pure chance, we got rid of the other one. Which is also nice, because that one caps your damage, so you really don't want that. And you want to be able to keep one-shotting enemies for as long as possible. Though, oh wow, they're around level 200, so again, it doesn't really do much. Oh God, I only just saw the Crunchy Pulp message. What would Crunchy Pulp even be? The whole point of pulp is that it's sort of gooey. Well, no, not quite, but squishy kind of thing. Like Crunchy Pulp is just such a cursed combination, no matter what kind of pulp it would be, simply because pulp as a concept is not supposed to be crunchy. Yeah, there we go. We are progressing. Well, I did just say that and then we got knocked out. I mean, no stun. You know, knocked out is like when you lose the level. But here we're still managing pretty nicely, I would say. There we go. See, so I knew it was a good call to keep getting the chain attack thing, because that's the only way we would even stand so much as a chance at defeating these. Only issue is, however, that these ones can also stun you. So you might end up getting stun locked. Or at least stun revive locked. Hello, game. Could you give me a chain attack, please? 2, actually. Like statistically, it should be pretty likely. We just need to keep going. And then at some point we should be able to get a good combo. There we go. It was just a matter of waiting. I knew it was doable. How long have we been going? Ow. Well, you know what? 1.5 hours and already being at the desert isn't that bad of a rate, actually. Oh, could really be worse. Oh wow, another advertisement where the aliens. Yeah, that is still red. Okay. The aliens randomly move red. Ah, right, the farmers, yes. Oh, archaeologists, right. They basically look like farmers. There's not a whole lot of variety in the assets. But yeah, unlike some of the other basic enemies, like the stick pig and the rogue, these ones don't have a stumble thing. As a matter of fact, I think the soldiers, maybe not these ones, but the ones with shields, actually have stumble, and the in-universe implications are kind of funny there. That a trained soldier is worse in consistent combat than a random archaeologist. Haha. Cry because I defeated you. Haha. And now we're already at the second castle. Bling bling. And again, should be mostly one-shotting enemies. Like, sure, there's like a few that are gonna be sort of strong. Let's see, is it you? No, okay, it's not you. What are you actually? Yeah, it's just a guard. So far, so good. You know, and it's only 5 waves, so we can manage probably. Certainly. Maybe. Okay, and then I believe we use this one on the central unit. There, that one's dealt with. Alright, and as you can see, this one is already, this castle is already better than the previous one. But it does still have, you know, this open section where the sandstorm really affects it. And there we go, that's just a one shot. You know, because if we did the other one first, then I think the cactus pig would be quite good if cooked as medium heat and served with onions. Yeah, my issue would mostly be that, seeing as these are green pigs, I don't know if that's very healthy to eat. And all I really know of consuming cactus is that episode from Avatar: The Last Airbender where Sokka got completely out of his mind and was just absolutely tripping balls because he drank cactus juice. So maybe cactus also isn't a good thing to include. But onions are pretty nice, and in general onions with basically any sort of meat goes pretty well. Now I don't know if in the game at this point Prince Porky also got buffed, but I'm pretty sure that in the first castle he did. And let's see, is this then over when the... Yeah. Because some of the castles, you know, you also need to defeat the bombs, but in some you only need to defeat the pigs and then the bombs just... Well, like you saw there, it's just over. But you know, when you first encounter it, it's also not really a challenge, I believe. Like, all you have to do is just attack it, you don't really have to think. But at least there's more to it. You know, like you actually still feel the fact that he attacks you. And there, now we're already at Pirate Coast. Wow. I believe I was saying something about the castle, and that looked better, and then... Ah, well. No, it's just random thoughts, so it's not exactly like any of that is very important, you know. Alright, I should probably do an attack. Let's deal with you. Oh wow, that was just a one shot? Oh yes. Right. So that enemy is called SMUTJE. And when you just read that as a word in general, like in your mind, you don't really think much of it. But when you look at the first syllable, and then in an English context, it might remind you of something that means something very, very different. Ah, yes. Alright, next level. And again, like I said at the start of the stream, you might not have caught, but we're skipping the dungeons for multiple reasons. You know, we're only doing the actual levels. Alright, yeah, see? Here. That first syllable, there are some different associations with that. I won't say anything outright, but if you know, you know. Yeah, I remember the time when I played the game when I was young, and I just didn't think anything of it. But then when I picked up the game later, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, hold up." A simple little pirate level, nothing special really going on, except the fact that it's actually a whole new, well, not even a whole new landmass, because of course the fields connect and the plateau connects with the sort of law, but in general it's a whole new area and not like the little little island. I sorry, what exactly do you mean appetizing? Could you elaborate on that? Okay, it just doesn't look very delicious. I wonder what's. Well, maybe because, of course, his design language is triangle, which well, fits with that he's a very sort of fit bird. But it also means it's a very low fat percentage, which might mean that there's not a whole lot of actual meat for consumption, and just make it kind of sad. But maybe it could be like that. But I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall here. Just spitballing, just saying random things. Yeah, I suppose. But then again, it's not like one of those animals where it's actually part of the skin. It's just feathers. So maybe it will be something different there. I mean, that makes sense because deep frying makes just about any moderately edible food just a proper meal. At least when it comes to matter of experience, like naturally when it comes to nutrition, that's a different story. But when it comes to just experience of consuming the food, deep frying should almost always be an improvement, except if you're specifically not looking for deep fried. Yeah, maybe that's again the sort of odd shape he has that makes it more identifiable with things like chicken nuggets. No, not that chicken nuggets are triangle shaped, but they're also odd shaped, and when you only have sort of more fitting bird shapes and an odd bird shape, then you just lump odd shapes and fitting shapes into their own groups. But again, I'm just saying things here. When I planned this stream at the start of this week or the end of last week, I don't know. When I was like, oh hey, let's plan an Angry Birds epic stream, I was for some reason not expecting to be discussing the taste of the different characters if they were to be eaten. Yeah, not a bad thing, by the way, because it's really funny, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Alright, now that we've dealt with Stanley, I do want to do the sort of side branch of the forest, so I don't forget to deal with that. Oh, hello, is it you again? A meow. Yeah, look, I can also do that. Yeah, silly cat. Yeah, it's at the window because it wants to get outside, but I say, no, you cannot go outside. Alright, when I'm dealing with these enemies, specifically the pygmies, I tend to prioritize the masked ones because they deactivate the chilling ability. Then these ones with the spears because they do more base damage. And okay, but do you think it would be very different? Because you know, like with birds, it's different types of birds. You know, it's different species also. But these are just pigs. You know, they're all part of the same sort of thing. The greatest enemy of both the birds and the pigs. Humans, the new antagonist. I am not even going to read that aloud. And I know you're just being silly as like, oh hey, it's a different outfit, it's a different cosmetic, so you call them a different species. But given just the statement on its own, and the fact that some of this attire is related to cultures from around the world, there's some... it just seems a little bit off, you know. Oh. Like, I know you didn't mean it like that. But still, like, when you think about it... anyways, where was I? Yes! Back to the main line of the jungle. Oh wow, another advertisement for another Rovio slop game. And this one doesn't even have any sort of strategy to it, it's just hit the balls of the right color. Which is a very weird statement. And as such, I believe it might also be a bit of a weird game mechanic to describe. But yes. Oh right. Fun fact. I like analyzed... Well, not even analyzed, but I made a list of all the levels. And what's the main reward there, what waves they have, what level they are, what main enemy type they have. And then I actually contributed it to the wiki. So, you know, if you're ever looking for how to farm a specific resource and you consult the wiki and check the list of levels, you're welcome. There, let me just do the chili because why not? Ah, yes, and it's not even a Mimi Choki statement. It's actually true. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm a VTuber, so there were some clues even before you actually watched anything of the stream itself. Yes. I mean, like, from what I've seen from VTubers in general, many of them, even if it's not specifically autism, do seem to be neurodivergent in some way, and more so than with just streaming in general. Alright, speaking of like autism regarding games, I've made a video which gives the basics on all the settlements in Genshin Impact. And I'm currently working on a video thinking of what speed limit the tracks in Mario Kart Wii would have, if they would have speed limits. Yeah, I just like taking a look at games in some way other than just the basic gameplay. You know, it's fun. You know, and it's also why I do some like very odd game challenges. You know, there's nothing wrong with it in any way, but it's just not the sort of challenge you see a lot of people doing. Though granted, that might be because the games are also pretty niche. You know, like for example, I did in Angry Birds Classic, that is. I did Red's Mighty Feathers. I mean, when it comes to this challenge, yeah, because I don't really have anything better to do in the game at this point. But there's also for a few other games, it's just, hey, why not? You know, even if I've like completed it, I'm like, hey, let's play it a different way. Now, so for Red's Mighty Feathers again, there's that section where you have like actually the pigs coming to you in those contraptions. Boom! And I did a challenge where I wasn't allowed to kill any pigs in a direct hit. And it was pretty difficult, especially in some of the later levels, where you have to have a lot of those metal parts, or those, I guess you could call them bumpers. You know, those purple things. Right, so a direct hit is when Red hits the pig directly, or hits the frame the pig is in, and the pig then dies. But say if you, for example, hit some balloons, or wait, do those? Say if you hit an umbrella and then the pig falls, then that doesn't count. If you hit the frame, but the pig is still alive and then falls, it's not a direct hit. If there's some TNT that explodes and you hit the TNT only, that's not a direct hit. But yeah, you might want to check that out if it seemed interesting, and if it doesn't, then entirely fair. It's a very niche sort of thing. No, I just did it because it seemed fun to do. But I can imagine it's not for everyone to watch. Again, it's a bit of a niche game, and it's a bit of an odd challenge. And then there's also for Earn to Die 2, where I try to get through... Hello. Where I try to get through all the levels with the largest truck. And then, right now, I'm also doing a challenge where I try to get through all the levels with the smallest car. And they both come with different difficulties, because doing it with the largest truck, you might need to do damage to the truck to be able to get through some sort of tunnels. But then you risk... What? Wow, 35 health. But then you risk completely breaking down before the finish. And the small one just has such little durability that on the later levels, because they're simply longer, there's more going on, and you have to go further. That's simply because of that. It could already be quite difficult to progress. But still fun. You know, it's not exactly like there's much more to do after you've gotten all the achievements and beaten all the levels, gotten all the crates and from the secondary mode. Hey Caleb, if you don't mind me asking, how did you find this stream? Like, did you go to Twitch and search specifically for Angry Birds Epic, or one of the random tags, or was it just a random recommendation? No, I'm always curious about how people find me, but also no pressure, of course. You know, I'm just here having fun. I'm just trying to think of things to talk about. Like, most of the time I can just talk about what's going on in the game, or some things that are on my mind, maybe things at school. But if there is a chatter, then I also want to, you know, talk a bit with them. Yeah, because it seems nice to, you know, try and engage also with the person, and not just, you know, the fact that they're a chatter. Now let's see this level. Oh yeah, I really love how entirely not subtle the Indiana Jones reference is. Months ago I was searching for Angry Birds epic streams, and since then I've been... And I just forgot I had done that, and just saw today someone was playing it. And I know, I guess I thought, why not check it? Ah, nice. So when you were searching for those streams months ago, were there many people playing? Or any people at all? Because even if the game itself still has a lively community, I don't really expect a lot of people to actually be live streaming it. Like if they're even making it into content, they're more likely to just make videos. But again, there are also streamers that specifically do those niche games. Or not even specifically, but they just ignore anything in terms of metas, and they just play whatever they want to, and then, you know, but by pure chance it could happen to be the game a specific person is looking for. Yeah, see, Red, that is why you shouldn't have shielded. There was no reason to shield. Well, I took the manual control when I saw he was getting a bit silly, and there we go. Yeah, it's... Well, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it unfortunate. Oh, well, unless you're specifically looking for Angry Birds Epic, of course. But yeah, I really like this game. Despite all that Rovio has done to it. But I know at least Easy Speasy played it a while back. But all he did was, like, really just... He didn't think. And it was just impressive at the points he failed, because they're so early in the game that you know, any sort of power creep hasn't really come in yet. And there isn't really any issues with scaling just yet, where you need to grind. It was just this complete lack of strategy. And the most impressive thing is that early in the game, most of the classes are fine. Well, in this case, I didn't really mind it, because he was already intending for it to be a bit more of a comedy video. Now, like he has his speed runs, But when it comes to other gaming videos, he tends to just, have fun. And I understand, like, at the very least, it was a very unique viewing experience. It was like, how can you be struggling at this point? Yeah, see, there are some people who genuinely think that is an issue. And it's like, well, like, for example, if Undertale, it's really common that if someone is to stream it, or even if they make videos, that there are just all these people telling them how to play, or that they should do a specific route, and just let people have an organic playthrough, or a casual playthrough, or whatever. Like, if you want tryhards, there are tryhards, trust me. Like, for example, if Easy Speasy, I'm also just there to see what he does. Because it's pretty funny. Also, like, Bad Piggies, he just, like, was entirely goofing off, but then he actually made that into jokes. So then it was clearly sort of intentional. But with Angry Birds Epic, it seemed to be genuine, honest incompetence. And it's like, well, if the starter area of Angry Birds Epic is already too complex, then you really shouldn't play any sort of actual higher level strategy games. Because you're not gonna get through the tutorial, you're gonna be like that game journalist. But yes, indeed, people would judge how others play a bit too much. Like again, like here, I'm saying that about Easy Speasy in this example, but I still like the guy. I still thought it was a fun playthrough, and I didn't rage in the comments at him. I didn't get all obsessive, or I didn't get upset in any way. Yeah, for example, like, only one bird, that's not right. Even though here it's specifically the challenge, because I already beat the game, so I might as well do a challenge. Oh wow. But there are some people, well, maybe not with Angry Birds Epic because of the kind of community it is, but in general there are some people who really have that sort of logic to their thoughts. And it's like with Undertale, it's understandable to some degree, even if it's still entirely insane, because it has an actual story with choices. But here, for example, there's minimal story, and what there is in regards to story, it doesn't even have any choice things. No, it's just all set in stone already. There, let's see if autoplay can handle this. Oh right, maybe I should focus on getting rid of the catchers first, because they stun. Exactly. Like, oh, this route is intended, or that route is intended. And it's like, well, in any games, even if they're not open world, where just multiple spaces to look at, for example, you don't have to rush to the boss, and you don't have to do all of the side things. No, it's fine to do a few of the side things that seem interesting, or to take a look at the side thing and then decide, no, I actually don't really feel like that, and then progress to the boss. There's some people who say like, oh well, no, you should do one, or you should do the other, and it's just, Like what is the point there? What's the goal there? Like all your like apparently you're not getting joy out of it because you're getting enraged. and all you're doing is souring someone else's playthrough. Like backseating is one thing, and even then it's like at least check if they even want backseating. You know, if it's on videos then it's fine because you know they can just not check the comments. But with something like a live chat, it's just not a good look, you know. Or like spoiling the plot. And it's like just let someone have their playthrough. But yeah, so some people are just a little unique in their approach to games. Let's just say that. Let's not go calling anyone any names. And that's kind of what I like about the TF2 casual servers. Most of the time they're pretty chill, you know, and there's not hate for those that actually do the objective, and there's not much hate for those that just hang around, that are friendlies, you know, because again, it's the casual servers. It's the dedicated space for just chill gaming, you know? And I really like no, I haven't played in a while, and when I did play it was MVM, so you know there you know you have to do the objective. So I don't really know how PvP is at this moment. But I do think that the bot problem but I do think that the bot problem was mostly dealt with. At least from what I've seen from the TF2 community, is more that all those terrible things are like stereotypes, but that when it comes to the actual things I've seen within the game or related to the community in general, that's all pretty fine, really. You know, it also just happens to be what you aren't exposed to, so who knows. You know, for example, I didn't see any sort of mass racist things or any sort of actual rage because someone captured the intelligence on 2 Fort. You know, at most people being salty about losing, but that's just, you know, general, that's standard. Let's see, how much health do you have? Okay, so I can just easy peasy lemon squeezy. There we go, because you really want that one knocked out, because if he summons a ghost, then that's like a whole problem. And there we go, problem solved. Enemies dealt with. So I like how this is like already clearly undead enemies, even though it's a very happy daylight beach. So it doesn't really feel like the right setting. Like these with mummies in the desert, it made sense, but here it's just a bit weird. And then you get to the actual whatchamacallit, right? The sea of death and despair and all that. Oh, okay. Oh no. These ones. these ones have the dodge thing. Oh no, this could be a right problem. Let's see how many. 50%? Okay. Well, here we got the lucky draw. Now let's see how the next waves are. Yeah. And for these sorts of levels, you know, you'd really want to be playing with Bomb or Chuck, you know, because they both do AoE. Chuck in the basic one, and Bomb only with the ability, but still, you know, like then you can at least reach through and progress. Okay, then you, because longer recharge. And then finally you. Okay, well luckily this one didn't really require a check. Well no, it required one, but you know, not at like a specific point, just at any point would be fine. Okay. Okay, this is gonna be a little tricky. Theoretically it's possible because those are 4, so it would just be 2 change. But it's still a little tricky. Especially because there's 2 stunners. And there's one that does the dodge effect thing. So this level could actually be pretty problematic. Alright. Let's try it again. Okay, and then we hit you. Okay, and we're at a loss again. Okay, what about you? Okay, but then you revive. So then that's an issue. Okay, right. Let me deal with that one again. And then try to hit Ghost. Now, like, all I need is 2 change that hit back to back without me getting stunned. And when you like add all of that together, it suddenly becomes pretty tricky. Like sure, we can keep going for a bit because we've still got quite some health. But yeah, it's not exactly optimal, you know, like this is really pushing the theoretical limits. Like 2 zombies and 4 ghosts is like the absolute hard limit that's even possible at all. But this is still right, and then we got stunned, so it resets again. You know, like 1 zombie and 4 ghosts is also pretty pushing the limits, especially given that there's stun ghost and dodge ghost. But maybe the golden combination of RNG will appear at some point. And then we need that for this level a bunch more times for the other characters. Oh my god. Now even the other classes of red. In this case it would be very nice to have one of red's weapons, which is like one of the rainbow weapons, because not only do they have higher damage stats, but their special effect, in this case chain effect, is also stronger. So where here it's, I believe, like 30%. On rainbow weapons it would be a higher percentage. Which would make this, as you can probably imagine, a bit easier. And then I wonder if this is one of the levels where the enemies are set. You know, like we had with a level a little bit back. Or if this is one where, you know, maybe it's just enemy luck. But I'm not gonna risk throwing away those first two waves just to check that out. Okay, so let's see, 30 times 30, that will make basically 10%. Times, let's call that 90 because it's roughly 90. Okay, so 10 makes 9 divided by, let's say, a half. Okay, so 1 in 20 attack loops should be successful. Which isn't a whole lot. No, you don't need to be a mathematician to figure that out. But it sure is something. So close. Damn it, because I believe that would then mess up the things. Well, doesn't matter because we're lost anyway. Because now they revive. Oh, so close, you know, like you're on the cusp of victory, and then. Dorime. Well, I was expecting a struggle. I just wasn't expecting, you know, this specific thing where you would need 2 chain attacks and on top of that some other statistical benefits. And let's see, there's a 1 in 3 chance that this is successful. And we are in the 2 of the 3. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Don't you think that's fun? Yeah. Wow. So I'm going slightly insane, but I've been going insane for years, so you know how much really changes at that point. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Oh, that's a trope I really love. Whether it's in a piece of fiction where a character says that, or if it's like a content creator that says that. It's really funny for some reason. I don't even really know why I think it's so funny. I just think it is. Damn it. The ghost should only be chain attacked when I'm attacking the ghost, because otherwise it gets messed up looping. Oh wait, no, because it revives. And then frick. Okay, but in theory, such a situation only needs to arise once more, and then we should succeed. But yes, there's also the thing that each of the chance events is independent, so whatever. Oh, let's fucking go. Okay, it's not exactly, you know, like winning 50-20, so I'm not gonna have a whole freak out like Dorko had, but it's still pretty pretty nice that we got it. Yeah, but I already knew that one of the hardest things, or at least the most grindy things, would be the undead region. Specifically because red is a single target attacker. Angry Birds Friends. You know, like, that is one of the games that isn't a slop game. But it's also the only one of the classics I don't really like. Because of the whole procedural level up. Because the whole procedural level thing. Which isn't necessarily bad when it's like actually careful levels. Like, and it's like actually made with a purpose, like in Angry Birds Friends. But it's just not my cuppa. But with Angry Birds 2, it's just very lazy, sloppy levels, and I'm pretty sure they're like procedurally generated. You know, sort of like the what do you call them? Sort of like the like the secondary levels in Angry Birds Stella, the ones outside of the main story. But you know, like in Angry Birds Stella, they were like the secondary thing, and you could still, you know, complete the whole story with the actual creative levels, and even the procedural levels were pretty interesting, and they also didn't do the whole, you know, health hearts. Alright, so sorry, I need to finish the sentence first. It didn't do the whole health hearts thing, so in that regards, Angry Birds Stella is better. And it's also not, you know, a part of the key story. Whereas with Angry Birds 2, there's not even a story. The levels are procedurally generated and seem to be of lower quality. And you also like have to get through those to progress the game, but there's not even anything to progress to. And Angry Birds Friends, there's nothing to progress to really, but it's just fun little unique levels too. So that's also fine in that regard. Right, let's see if a reroll gives us something better. Alright, let's see if a reroll gives us something better. Because again, 4 ghost is the hard limit. Alright, one more time. Okay, you know, maybe if I exit the level and then enter the level again, we can get something. But maybe we don't. Who knows? I don't. Okay, so this is one with a set, what do you call it, loadout, layout, a set layout of enemies, sure. You know what I mean. And unfortunately, 5 ghosts is simply impossible, because the chain attack can only do 1, and you can only do 2 of those before they start reviving. So that makes the first one that's actually simply impossible. Star Reef 4. Well. Then we just go to the next one. Now I was expecting there to be at least 1 or 2 impossible ones, where it wasn't simply a matter of leveling or RNG. Okay, let's see. Right, that's good. See, because these zombies give some extra grace time. So we only need one chain attack. And then we should be golden. And even then, it's a less specific unit. What am I talking about? It's a less specific combination of factors that's needed. So again, it's more likely to have a success. But maybe I should start. Actually, let me just get Excel on the go here, so I can actually note down like what's going on with the games. So let's see. First, let me just get the U in. Bright bird, red night. Okay. There we go. Dance. Starry 4. I'm just doing this as I'm playing. Wait. Oh right, because the damage is only partial. And then Komst limit. Yes, that's Komst with an M because it's a playful way of saying ghost or god, depending on the context. Let's see. This one should also be pretty manageable. You got 2 zombies, 2 ghosts. And right now I'm just putting it very simply in the Excel and actually making it neat. I'll get to that off stream. I just want the information down and then I can figure out the details later. Okay. Right, that is something. Oh wait, no, we won. Very nice. And then after we've done this little area, I'm just going to see like what those other levels are called that I struggled with. And they might not be impossible, but I just couldn't complete them right now. But that like there, it's not because the enemies keep reviving, it's just higher level, and it still seems like manageable if I get my character up a little bit and maybe a bit of strategy. But yeah, first we just need to get a few more levels in. Alright, and now we can just... And we don't even need any chain attacks because we knock this one out. And this one gives us 2 ways to attack others. And each ghost also gives you like 1 turn to wait. And then we got the chain attack, so we even could cut down on a turn. That is what I call very nice. What level are the enemies at this point? Like 17? Oh, 19 even. Wow. Wow, wow. Would you believe that? Yeah, whatever, why not? Again, I don't need any chain attacks unless... Oh no, you're still pretty low health. Nice, nice. Cool, cool. see. Do we... Wait, what? That was already the final thing? Oh, that's for the plane part, of course. I see. Because then this level is to progress the game, because like first you get to this level, and then the wizard puts a gate there, so you go around, then you get to this level, and the wizard puts a gate there, and then you sail back, because now you've done the battle, so you can just move quickly, and then you get to the castle. I thought it was a fun way of like justifying a detour. Well, because some games are really lazy in the way they do that, but this actually worked, in my opinion. Hee hee hee. Well, who's laughing now, huh? That's right, me. Haha. Alright, and then even though this is a later castle, so it should be more luxurious, because it's like in this dingy little area, it still has a bit of that abandoned, dilapidated vibe. Even if like structurally it seems pretty sound. Anyway, let's see, do we need a... No, we can just single hit you. Let's go. And what level are you? Oh, 39 mastery, but soon enough you'll get a 2% bonus. Now that is what I say is pretty cool. Right, and here we barely hit any undead enemies. Like at least not to the point where, oh, speak of the devil, almost literally. Even though, like, I guess the devil technically isn't undead, but some types of demon are, but some types of demons aren't. They're really getting into the semantics of different kinds of folklore and classification. Anyway, we've beaten them. Next wave. Oh, I think this is the first one where you actually have multiple enemies on the final wave. Oh no, right. It's only Whispig. Let's see. What do you say to that? Haha, he couldn't even defend himself. But I think his first turn would be like to limit your damage or something. Actually, let's have a look at his abilities, because I think you can see that on the level screen. You don't have to go for the entire level again. Sorry, I should stop tapping my desk. Oh no, he just makes himself stronger. I see. Right. Okay, now let me just get back here real quick. Okay. Eastern Kobold 7 and Eastern Kobold 8. Okay. Eastern Kobold 7 and 8. Simply a strong enemy. Yes, that's good enough. Yeah, no. Let's also make sure I can find the file again, so let's not do book 1, or like, and if it's something in Word, for example, it would be doc 1, or art things would be like unnamed, and then you suddenly don't know what it's called. Let me just say AB RPG classes challenge. Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough for me. Yes. Okay. Now where were we? Yes. Right. Now we are getting into the bamboo forest. And in this part of the game, you actually lose a bunch of units because they get kidnapped. Well, maybe not at the first level, but pretty early in this section. And then you recover them as you progress. And see, here's the trait I talked about. You know, the dodge. You know, like that's the main trait for the ninjas. And in that regard, Prince Porky and that one rogue leader in the city are really exceptions to the rule. But anyway, it doesn't really matter who we attack here. We just, you know, here there's still some undead, but they're in such low quantities that you wouldn't even really need the chain feature. But given the low health all these enemies have, it's just nice. Because it just removes more of them sooner. I really should have considered that at the start of the challenge. Oh well. See, the ghost did something good for us after all. They helped speed up the later parts. Until of course we get to the section where we actually have more health and we just need the higher damage. But you know, it's specifically why this challenge can work, because you can still use different weapons with different traits. There's not exactly a one size fits all, at least when you're soloing. Okay, I did just mention the low health, but oh right, but this of course later on, so this C37 instead of like the 20 whatever that they ought to be. Right, actually let me just deal with it. You know, actually let me just restart this level, because I kind of didn't account for the fact of tougher level. Okay, because first we want this big boy out of the way. Just gone. Cool. I really like this track in particular. Probably because it very clearly links back to the original standard Angry Birds scene. And like you can really hear that in this one. There we go. And then we'll get to that one at the end. Let's see, how much is the dodge thing? Oh, only 25%? That's pretty weak. Oh, okay, well that was honestly perfectly timed. So I can't even get... Okay, well now it's excessive. But that's 25. And then again 25. So that's... And again 25. So that's 25 divided by 4. That's 6% basically. Divided by 4, that's 1.5. That's just excessive. Okay, we really want to get rid of this one. This one is the problem maker. Okay. And then we want to get rid of the ninja, because they're like pretty strong formidable enemy. And only then can we really deal with the others. Oh, this might be another one of those points where, at least with this degree of mastery, it might fall apart. Ooh. Yeah. look, we can get one attack in, but unless they dodge, or I mean stumble, then... right, so which one was this? This was... Tell me? Oh right, see the red gate, so it's like very much end of the game after you've... Well, again, not kind of caves, but after you've done the final castle. Let's see. East bamboo. And again, strong. Yeah, sure, stroke. I don't care. Well, as long as I can read what it means in some way, it's fine. Wow. More advertisements. This is just Candy Crush. Like you're not even thinking and coming up with anything. It's just Candy Crush. Dunk. But that's nice. You know, that like a quote-unquote boss battle which you can beat in one turn with one unit. Like we just got the one singular dude. Oh. Right, what's your level? Okay, yeah, no, we can afford to get rid of the wealthy rogue and just get our money in. There we go. Oh, and we also got rid of the other one. Nice. Nice, so... In fact, one could even say it's very nice. You know, like Borat. Oh wow, it's almost been 3 hours. Wow. I think we can get to the end of the bamboo forest at the end of 3 hours. Oh, I know these themes by heart. There. Again, just a bunch of one shot. Just kablooey and gone. So like that beam. Well, no, actually beam and kablooey is only for one unit. And we're not quite at that one yet. That was gonna be like pretty late. But details. Oh, you're already at the final wave. Let's go. There we go. And now, by the time we've dealt with those ones, that effect should be gone. So we should just be able to deal with them. Yeah, what are you? Huh. A lancer. So someone who lances. What is lancing even a verb? No, no. Actually, you can turn nouns into. Wait, what? Can you? You can turn nouns into someone who does that. I guess if the noun is, specifically associated with certain actions, I guess. Maybe it still comes from the verb lancing, but I don't know. Oh, well, it happens to be the exact thing I'm studying, so I'll figure it out soon enough. This almost feels like advertisement for the film, and like I really don't like the film style. Oh, did you hear about that planned Bad Piggies sequel? And then Rovio did a poll. Didn't like the fact that people didn't want the film style, and just pretended that people voted for the film style. It's a whole mess basically at this point. Well, I think they even cancelled it because they were like, "Oh wow, this isn't gonna work. Let's go back to our usual slop production." Like so much of this challenge is just waiting for the enemies to attack, or waiting for loading screens to finish. Sorry, I'm kind of getting lost in thought at this point. No, it makes sense because I've studied for a few hours and it's getting late at night. It's almost 11, so I'm not exactly at my optimal performance. But yeah, I still do I'm still planning to keep doing these streams because otherwise I would at most have one stream per week. Like that just feels so low. I'd rather stream a bit more, even if it's not necessarily like the best possible thing, than just barely stream at all. Especially given how many streams and stream moments I've lost over the past few years. I really just want to get what I can get, what I can afford to do. There we go, that's another level. Oh, I don't know why, but it's kind of fun. Like, I'm not sure if it's knuckles, because that's specifically the ones where like your hand connects to the finger. But that's like the first joint of the finger itself. And then putting those together is kind of nice. Now, it hurts a little if you're not careful, but That's just... Oh, wow. I should maybe start the level. But that's just, yeah, how the things are, you know. Wow, another advertisement. Skip. Okay. Here, we're gonna hit... Oh, here you see like the forest is diminishing. We're getting out of the forest. But it's already a bit more open. No, they don't over recycle the same background assets. They make sure that if it would make sense to be different, it actually is different. Right, and then there's the Chronicle case where it's just like 4 different backgrounds, I believe. Oh, no, there's 5 because it's like the one special kind of thing. But other than that, it's pretty standard. And it just keeps repeating. Okay, right, we also want to do this one so we don't forget. This should again be pretty easy, no problem at all. Even if it is a oh, just a single hit. Right, then we want to get rid of that lower ninja. And then we just hit the lancers, and then finally we wrap up with the central ninja. Now it doesn't really matter because both have dodge applied. And just one more. There we go. Ooh, more money. I like money. Right, let's see, how much health do you have? Again, we can just blunk and he's gone. And there we go. Oh wait, there's another wave. Okay. So that's 2 more enemies, then we have 1 more level, then we have 2 more levels to finish the whole bamboo forest area thing. Now, it shouldn't be going on for too long before you actually get to the next place. I'm not sure if this one has more waves battles than the other, or if I'm just imagining things. Ah, could be. Could also be not. Yeah, but those great rewards are only within the game, so if I'm not interested in the game, then yeah, I'm not exactly interested. Oh wow, ooh, you were a tough enemy. Wow, you do 200 damage. Oh no. What are you gonna do now? Oh, you're going to heal? Oh no, you're gonna summon allies? No, you're not. You're gonna die. I mean, get knocked out, of course. What I also like about the charged moves is that if you knock them out while it's charging, you know, the final one charges a little bit as they're falling over, you know, sort of as if they're trying to do some sort of last stand, but ultimately fail. It's a very nice little detail, I think. Alright, now there we go. We've dealt with the strongest one. And we're gonna deal with the central one in just a second when we're allowed to deal with it. Then we're gonna deal with the top one. And finally we're gonna deal with the lancers because again, pretty basic. And we even got a chain attack in, a nice little double kill. Oh, but this is actually pretty nice because they're not really that strong at now, and it's just less enemies to deal with. Which also means that their turn is faster because there's less enemies to do their thing. Yeah, because here you still need to wait for those 3, and only then you get to 2, and then to 1. Except if you of course get the double in. And almost. And was this the first or the second part of it? Oh, I don't quite know, but I will see in just a second. And then that is... Alright, we still have one more to go. Let's deal with that. So it is handled. Oh yeah, but there's not a wave battle, so that's pretty nice because then you can just deal with it in one wave, because generally, at least in this part of the game, there's not really a difference in the types of enemies you'd find. I'm sure there's an occasional boss battle, but it's like its unique, special little thing. And there we go, already dealt with, already handled. I wonder how many coins I have at this point. Like, I know it's 2000 something, but I don't know the something. And let's have a little look at how far it is to complete this. Okay. Right, so this level, like it's still the ninja part, because it's literally like, this is the ninja dungeon, you know, the volcano island. But then after that you have the snow zone, and then, oh hey, let's see, can we, yes, let's go, mastery up. Ah, there we go, 2021. Alright, then you have this sort of back marsh, and I'm just gonna count the sea as part of that too. Then you have this forest. Then you have the city. I'm counting the landmines, and this will string us that too. And then finally, Hoghead Mountain. So I know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And here that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. I mean, again, it's like a bit of eyeballing, you know, like it's just rough vibes. You know, yeah, you could say we're like at the halfway point, and then times 4 times 5, so that's 20. So we're halfway times 20. Oh wait, what? Ah, right. Oh, and this is also a wave battle? Well, it's not exactly like they're a threat. I do want to see if the connecting levels actually have them at level 20 at least. Because that does seem like a nice sort of round number. But who knows what they're actually at. Now let's see, we want, well, yeah, I trust it's all single hits, and if it's not, I don't think it's gonna change a lot. It's only relevant if it's like those levels, those sort of side levels where they're at way higher levels. Now like the red gates, yeah, there's the blue gates, that's from that Undead Sea. So again, that's pretty much nothing. It's really only the red gates and maybe some of the friendship gates that you have to worry about until you get to the city area at least. Like when you get to the city area, it's actually the main levels start getting a little high, which is still smooth sailing and easy breezy when you're with your own whole team. But if you're just with like one unit, especially if it's like a bad class of the unit, then you know it's not quite good. Let's see, those are 23 and those are 19, but then they progress to 20, and on this side 20. Okay. Oh right, I felt so scammed when I did this section, because it showed itself as like leading to a reward, but then the thing you get is kind of dog shit. It only gives you a 10% chance to get any sort of good item. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but yeah. You know, I still wanted to complete the levels because it's still fun fights. And I got the stars, of course. Plus, this unlock, was it worth anything? Yes, because those classes are actually quite decent. Okay. Right, that reminds me, I've got a presentation due tomorrow. But unlike some people and some streamers who like actually have to cut things short in a panic, I actually prepared. However, I three things actually. Energy. Like I notice I'm getting pretty tired, so I just want to be able to rest soon. And time, because I also have to get up. I mean, like not early, but I need to get in bed at a reasonable time. And finally, also save my voice a little bit. Just putting a bit of strain on it, which it can handle, but also I haven't streamed a lot, so it kind of needs to warm up. So I've got to take it easy to be able to actually present. So yeah, that kind of, if you're still there, there's a Discord link if you're interested in joining the community and chatting with people there. If you're not, it's all good. We chill. And also, I hope you I hope you enjoyed watching, because it seemed to be like an actual specific niche you're interested in. So I'm happy to have fulfilled that in some way. And then I wish you a nice day, and bid you and any other potential viewers a good bye.